are live. So let's just check the old phone here. Click down on it and look at that. Introducing Bulletproof. We are live.
Excellent.
And it looks like I can switch back and forth between views pretty easily. And it looks like I can switch. And let's mute myself here so I can share the stream. Get that out on Twitter. Nothing like doing it all at the last. Well, this is how it's got to be done. You can't share the broadcast until you have a broadcast.
Makes sense.
So there we go. The nice thing about this is that the comments actually show up in your Streamlabs studio here. I don't have to have YouTube running in another window or on another device.
Oh yeah, I see that over on the right-hand side. Or is that just that says private chat?
It's got one of those too.
And other guests. Oh, okay.
But if I were to say welcome to the live stream here in what should be the live stream chat. Did you see anything pop up there?
I did not. Let me see here. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to create a login for that to happen.
Nah, if you're on YouTube, you should be able to see the live stream chat, but you probably don't see it. Probably just because I have the studio. You'd have to be on YouTube seeing it come up. So.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's there.
Fantastic. Well, then, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Those of you who will come in will catch us all on the replay and see all the behind-the-scenes baseball stuff that shows how one of these things is put together. We are here with Stephen J. Mitchell, the author of Bulletproof. We're going to talk about this upcoming book and when it comes out. And along the way, we're just going to do some geeking out on general superhero television stuff, which, having talked with Steve about this kind of stuff before, is his forte. So you guys are in for a treat. I can definitely tell you that. But let's get a little bit of a teaser in here, Steve, on Bulletproof.
All right.
And just we'll start small. We'll start with the not the main character. How's that sound? We'll start with Jeanne.
Okay.
What can you tell us about the character of Jeanne in this story? Because he's really important.
Yeah, Jeanne is Cody's best friend. He's a much younger student at their high school, Bannerville High School. And actually, Jeanne should probably be working towards his PhD, not his high school diploma. He's a child prodigy. He keeps Cody grounded in the sense that Jeanne is always thinking logically and intelligently. And through that, he gets very frustrated sometimes with Cody, but he really tries to pull Cody back to reality.
When I read Jeanne's words throughout the story, getting into his dialogue, he comes across to me as sort of a cross between Jimmy Olsen and Dilton Doily, and that he's the superhero's best pal, but he's a lot smarter than the superhero is.
Yeah. He's kind of Cody's guide throughout this story. And he really comes in through in a pinch whenever Cody's kind of feeling lost in his own thoughts. Even though Jeanne often gets frustrated with Cody, ultimately he's always there for Cody when he needs him.
Now, did you have any inspirations in mind when you were creating the character of Jeanne?
I think that, and this might sound a little weird, but I don't know if you ever saw the TV show or heard of that was created by Savage Steve Holland, Ned's Declassified High School Survival Guide.
Okay, that one passed me up.
It was on Nickelodeon, but there was this Ned's friend Cookie was like super smart, and while he's a lot goofier than Jeanne was because of the target audience of that show, But that's kind of like my thought. Like he had this thing over his glasses where he could flip it down, and all of a sudden he'd be able to do all these calculations, and he was super analytical, and that was kind of a little bit of my inspiration for him. Really, Jeanne is like a human supercomputer. So, I mean, take your most intelligent computer in science fiction, and you're probably going to find a little bit of inspiration there.
Awesome. I am seeing familiar names in the chat here. One of them is Jessica Flint, and that sounds very much similar to another Flint. Is there a relation?
Yeah, actually. Hi, Jess. Jess's husband, Matt Flint, is actually providing cover art for Bulletproof. He's doing some amazing work. He's a very talented artist, and I recommend everybody check out his Facebook page, The Art of Matt Flint. He's very talented, and I think you guys are really going to love what he's producing for this book.
And I've seen the teasers for it. I'm not going to share them on this stream. Everybody will just have to go to your Facebook page to find out what's going on with Bulletproof in that regard, or follow your Twitter. Or I can see the retweets that we do on Critical Blast, of course. So we're going to put Bulletproof aside for just a little bit here, because there's other stuff going on. And one of the biggest things in the news right now is, of course, the fate of Spider-Man. And this is a story that sadly truly needs Stan Lee's narration over it. It says just the fate of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because he's being torn in half now between Disney and Sony. And apparently Sony's winning.
Absolutely. They've got all the cards. I know it sounds crazy to say that they have all the cards when Disney has billion-dollar franchises, but Marvel sold that property a long time ago. And when they came together, they came up with this deal, and Disney kind of shot themselves in the foot because it wasn't that good of a deal to begin with. They were desperate to get Spider-Man in their universe. And Sony was like, all right, yeah, that's fine. As long as we get 90% of the profit and it's under our studio. And Disney was okay because they just wanted to get him in there because they knew that having Spider-Man in their cinematic universe would boost their sales. And it did. It was fantastic. But now the deal's run up and Disney's getting greedy now all of a sudden. And Sony has every right to walk away from the because Disney's got enough money. Sony's biggest movie was Skyfall. It was a good movie, but if your top grossing movie for your studio is Skyfall, they want Spider-Man back and they want him to do well. And if Disney's going to play hardball, I don't blame Sony for walking away.
It's hard to picture the fact that Spider-Man and the Avengers was actually an intercompany crossover for those of us who've been reading comic books for years. I mean, to put it in a world that you and I can relate to a little bit more easily, maybe, it's like watching Warner Brothers put out Justice League, but not being able to have Superman because they already licensed him out to another company.
Right. And that would be the fault of the studio. And I can't blame Marvel because at the time that they did it, they were struggling and they needed the money. I know it sounds like a really cautionary tale, but they needed the money and they sold off a whole bunch of their properties, and now they finally got themselves in a position after basically selling themselves off to Disney. Now they're in a position where they can do things with these characters, but it's too late. They've made their bed. Now they got to lay in it. I give them massive props for coming to the table to get Spider-Man in their universe, but I know Sony's big concern outside of the money was Kevin Feige was going to be too busy to help them produce a good Spider-Man movie. And if Kevin Feige isn't able to do it, Sony wants no part of it. So Disney can make this easy on themselves by making him available.
That would seem to do the trick. Now, Sony's only got the rights, though, as long as they continue to show use. Isn't there a moratorium where if they don't show use of the character for a certain amount of time, that reverts back to Marvel. That's kind of the story that I recall.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll have a hard time doing that. They want to build a universe around Spider-Man. The properties that they have that'll work: Morbius, Black Cat, Venom, Carnage. We can get. There's so many characters that they can expand the universe with. Spider-Man is a corner of the Marvel comic book universe. It's huge, and in my opinion, he never really belonged with the Avengers, but I know he appeared there and he did help them out. But he's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. His best stories are when he's in New York.
This is absolutely true. And, it's just that he is the flagship character. So when you think of Marvel, Spider-Man's always the one who's out front and center. And I'm thinking that now the case is going to be that the X-Men are going to take that over again, and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and I think that would be great. I think the X-Men, if done properly, would be very successful given the political climate that we're in right now. And the X-Men's message is about repression, and it's about discrimination and fear of people that you don't understand. And I think now is the time for the X-Men to shine. And with them getting that property back, they've just got to pull it together and do something great with it.
All right, switching houses for just a little bit here, getting away from Marvel and coming over to DC. It's spoiler time, and it's Tom King spoiler time.
Oh my God.
Have you had a chance yet to read the issue, or at least the news about the issue of the latest Batman book?
I have heard about the latest Batman book, yes.
So where's your money fall? Sticking or not sticking?
It's not sticking. I am so over Tom King. He is he does things to do them. He's all about the shock factor, and it's getting to the point where now we're numb to the shock factor.
I mean, we haven't seen Alfred Beagle since the Golden Age, so there's precedence. I think he's the only character we haven't ever brought back. But for those of you coming in late to the show here, not aware of things, mute your speakers for a second, because Batman, the latest issue, came out this past Wednesday, and what we had was Bane holding Gotham City hostage with Thomas Wayne, the Batman from another dark universe. And the rule was no supers in Gotham or we kill our hostage. Well, Batman is recovering physically and unfortunately emotionally, because it's a Tom King book and he has to have his therapy time. Damian decides not to wait and rushes in to rescue the hostage and fails, and Bane and Thomas Wayne kill the hostage. And what we find, of course, is they kill him right in front of Damian Wayne, and the hostage is Alfred Pennyworth. So Bruce's dad just killed Bruce's dad.
That sounds Tom King. Yeah.
Well, it's daddy issues, so it's got to be Tom King.
Look. If Tom King was working at your local ice cream shop, he would literally hand you, because he's the type of person that can take a good thing and just destroy it. He will hand you a melted ice cream, and the cone would shatter in your hands as soon as you took it, and then he'd kick you just because.
Yeah. He's loosely holding the football, and pulling it away.
He takes pleasure from destroying all that is good. It's Alfred. He's one of the most wholesome and awesome characters in DC. You talk about supporting characters. Alfred is practically a main character. They've started to flesh out his backstory recently, and with him, he's double agent, and he's just his history has just started to really develop. And then Tom King comes along and says, you know what we need to do? We need to kill the guy that's always been Batman's rock. Yeah,
the guy that we're making a show about right now on DC streaming.
Right. Because that makes all the sense in the world, to kill somebody that you, in the comic books, that you're making a show about in the TV, because we can't have any confusion.
No, none at all. It's just par for the course. Hey, look, we're going to bring back the very hopeful guy, and we're going to bring him back into the Flash universe, Wally West, DC Rebirth. Everybody's happy. We got an optimistic future. except that Wally's going to have such clinical depression, he's got to go to the superhero psychotherapy unit and become a mass murderer and be carted off.
Right. Yeah.
Seriously, if I won a lottery big enough to buy DC away from AT&T, and what's it going to take anymore? Like $20?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, AT&T doesn't want them. They got them in the deal with Warner. But I would reboot everything. Every character is day one, which means that you're not going to get Robin for 5 years. And when you get Robin, he's going to be Dick Grayson, so Nightwing's not going to be appearing anymore.
Look, as much as I would hate to lose Tim Drake, I'll be happier than a pig in shit to get rid of Damian Wayne. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen his future. He does not get mentally any better.
Yeah,
he's an assassin. He's gonna be one. I recall early on in his Robin career, Batman and Damian are fighting in the sewers, and Damian just kills a guy, and Batman's like, "We don't do that," and walks on like he's got to cover it up now. Yeah, and we get the same thing in Arrow. He killed people for a whole season worth of a show, and because he says, "Well, I'm going to be a good guy now. I'm going to turn over a new leaf." Oh, okay. Well, then you don't have to serve any time for all those murders. We're good with that.
Yeah.
But it's comic books.
Yep.
And that's the way the superhero universe works.
Yeah. I mean, you can only be so mad for so long because Alfred's coming back. It's just a matter of time. You turn enough pages and he'll be back. But it's just one of those things where, like, why? Why do you got to do that, Tom? Just, I just read an article about how Marvel is like, there's a storyline with Captain Marvel is out to destroy the Avengers. I'm like, wait a minute. Did Tom King switch sides already? Is he writing for Marvel already?
Exactly. And besides, didn't she do that already with the movie that came? No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of superheroes, let's get back to our subpar hero.
Yeah.
In Bulletproof, and talk about I don't know if I want to call it the love interest or the distaff part of the team, but let's talk about Caliente.
Yeah.
Callie for short.
Yep. And I'm
she's just as important to the main character.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take some heat for the name. The pun is slightly intended, but yeah, it's supposed to. Callie is a character who comes from a very a background that's just, it's not good. We don't, like, I'm not throwing it in your face, but if you put the pieces together, you can tell that she is struggling at home. She has an abusive father, and she is an immigrant of Hispanic descent, and she struggles through a lot of the stereotypes because of what her father's involved in. The fact that she is an immigrant, and the kids in school, I mean, the kids in high school are cruel. They're mean. They say things. But she can always turn to Cody as somebody who is her rock. She leans on him. She looks to him for comfort and safety. And Cody's always there for her because he cares about her. And while there does seem to be some affection between the two of them, Cody's not, he's not right in the moment all the time. So he doesn't quite always pick up on things.
Cody doesn't pick up on a lot of things.
Yeah. And so he doesn't interpret things the same way that we would. So if Callie says or does something that might hint, hey, I kind of like you, Cody's like, wow, she's really swell. Like he's not picking up on it.
Yeah. Oh, I like you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're buds.
Right. Like, he will high five her, pat her on the back, and, she can do something that's in a way to slightly show off or try to catch his attention or say, hey, look, I can be silly too. And he'll just be like, oh, that's great. And then move on to the next thing.
One of the guys.
Yep. That's how he sees her.
Well, Callie has also, everybody in this book has an important role. Not anybody is wasted, but Jeanne and Callie are essential and integral to the main character. who we're going to talk about in our next segment on Bulletproof. And before that, we're going to move on to the probably most anticipated television event for geeks in comicdom, The Crisis on Infinite Earths. How stoked are you for this, or you do not care anymore?
I am stoked for this, actually. This is going to be a shot in the arm for the CW shows. A lot of them, to me personally, have started to feel like they're falling a little flat. This last season of Arrow, they started doing flash forwards, and I've had about all I can have of Felicity. She gets under my skin. And I feel like the Flash is Barry Allen is a mouthpiece for Iris. He doesn't know how to do anything for himself. And I struggle with that concept with a hero who is highly intelligent, police forensics. Yes, when he started off, he was a new hero, still learning the ropes, but he's not that anymore. He hasn't progressed enough for me to really be excited about it. Supergirl has gotten to a point where it is Supergirl is literally
my LCS guy said he had to quit watching it this last season. He totally gave up on it now.
Yeah.
He got tired of the preaching.
Listen, yeah, it's extremely preachy. And, I'm okay with doing an alien storyline and persecuting aliens, but they had so many parallels, and they stopped trying to hide it anymore. They were just throwing it in your face. With what's going on in today's political climate, and we're Supergirl and we're doing the exact same thing. And Legends of Tomorrow, they not only jumped the shark, but now the shark is jumping the show. Like, it's just, they've gone way overboard, but they've embraced it, which is good. If you're gonna go nuts, go nuts. But I think this Crisis crossover is really going to be a shot in the arm. They say it's going to try to stick very close to the source material. It's going to introduce Batwoman some more, as she showed up last season.
Okay, stop right there. You just said it's going to stick close to the source material, and it's going to introduce Batwoman.
Yeah, well, you have to know that there's going to be some replacements, but I think the guest stars that they have are going to be fantastic. They're going to take liberties, but I think they're going to try to stick pretty close to how it was in the books.
Well, it's got to be very anticipated for you, because I know that you are a huge Superman fan. And when Tyler Hoechlin came onto the series, it made Supergirl palatable, at least for a while, at least for some episodes.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of Superman.
Exactly. We're going to get to see Brandon Routh is going to take the stage again in the costume. This time is the Kingdom Come one.
Yep. I'm kind of excited about that, because maybe he'll be able to be Superman and punch something, which would be pretty cool.
That would be cool, because he doesn't get to really do Atom anymore. He just kind of is Ray.
Yeah, and he was given a terrible script with Superman Returns, so I'd really like him to be able to take this role and just go with it and be able to be a Superman that maybe a lot of us were looking forward to when we heard that movie was coming out, and we're very disappointed.
Yeah, oh Lord, I could do a half-hour show just on how bad Superman Returns was, but I knew in the first 10 minutes that it was going to be at least Stupid Man, because he was in a rocket to Krypton because a telescope saw lights coming from Krypton that might be signs of life, and I'm like, yeah, you can probably see all of the sci-fi Krypton show through that telescope, because light travels, but it doesn't travel that fast. You're looking several hundred years into the past.
Right. So, clearly that movie demonstrated that he likes looking at things. Oh, I see there's light coming from Krypton. I want to go look. Oh, I see Lois is in her apartment with her husband. I think I'm going to go spy on them. He's a looker.
Yeah. And I left behind an illegitimate son because, I'm Superman with morals.
Right.
So many things ran wrong with that with me.
Yeah. So hopefully Brandon Routh, Kingdom Come Superman, will give him the opportunity to really work with a good script.
And he's not the only Superman showing up.
Yes.
Tom Welling is in the role again.
Yeah. That's going to be, I mean, there's so many people that are excited about this, and I am one of them.
Now, he's shown here in this fan art as the Kingdom Come Superman, but we don't really know what Superman he's going to be playing.
Yeah, maybe he'll be New 52.
That'd be so we're just going to get rid of the red shorts, you're saying?
Right.
I don't know if it's going to be Tom Welling. I would have rather seen him as the New 52 Superman, just because he's old enough to play that role now, and Brandon Routh is still kind of young and could have been the New 52 Superman instead.
Yeah. I mean, well, we can, go Golden Age, Silver Age.
Routh could be the Fleischer Superman. Who knows? But it's going to have so many characters. Meanwhile, until we get to Crisis on Infinite Earths in December and crossing into January, Arrow is going to be a show about not its title character.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. And I don't know if I can watch, honestly, because if I'm going to get a season of Felicity, I can't do it.
There's several seasons of Felicity that came on well before Arrow, but that's a totally different show. But at least I did get why the flash forward happened. The flash forward and the current day storyline both ended on the same note, and that's with the Monitor taking them somewhere. Now we know that Arrow has to be taken out of the universe and help him plan. And the parallel I saw to that was that it looks like Arrow and Felicity are being set up to be the Kal-El and Lois Lane of the Arrowverse. Because as you remember in Crisis on Infinite Earths, at the very end of that, the Monitor that was left not the Monitor, Alex Luthor, took them into a little pocket universe because they just didn't fit in this universe anymore. So let's go somewhere where you're totally, completely alone and lock you in with a psycho while we're at it. And you won't go insane just being the three of us forever and ever and ever. So I don't know where they're going to go with Arrow. I haven't seen any preview episodes. And again, Crisis, we've known it's been coming for 5 years now, because when that very first pilot episode of The Flash ended, there were the red skies, and we thought we had 10 years to go on that thing until the last season ended, and that incoming time wave reset the date on this headline.
Yeah, they keep messing with the timeline. Everything keeps shifting every year. Getting closer and closer, and now we're at 0 hour.
No, not yet. That's another crossover.
That's a whole nother one. You're right.
We got to get Green Lantern in before that one.
But I think they're doing a really, as far as like TV universe goes, the CW DC properties are crushing it with this long game storyline of the Crisis, and they're building towards it. And you can look back and see a whole bunch of different Easter eggs and just hints being dropped everywhere. And even in one of the Supergirl episodes, they had Superman. She was holding Superman in the same pose that Superman was holding her in the cover of Crisis.
I'm kind of hoping that maybe it's mean-spirited of me, but I'd love to see this scene in Supergirl episode during Crisis, because
yeah, well, hopefully they won't appear misogynist by doing that, but it's accurate.
It's accurate. We the fans have gotten tired of Supergirl. Let's replace her. By all means, bring in Matrix at this point. It would be an improvement. But what's your money on the Flash going missing mid-season of his show? We took Arrow out early, and we're going to run a season without him. Can they run the Flash without the Flash?
I
know David Taylor will say they do that already.
It's true. It's true. Like I said, like Iris is that show. They could. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes missing. But I haven't heard any casting news. I don't know if XS is coming back for next season.
Did you see the final episode?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they can have him go missing and still have a show. There's plenty of ways for them to do it. But
it could always be a Flash from another universe.
That's true. Heck, just have Tom Cavanaugh put the suit on. He does everything else.
Yeah, I'm the one thing that I don't like about the Flash is I'm a little tired of there always having to be a Wells. And when it was Sherlock Wells this whole last season, I'm like, oh, okay, you're really pushing it now.
Yeah, that one was the hardest one to sit through.
And he wasn't even doing Sherlock kind of things. He was just being pretentious. Yeah. If you want a detective, use Ralph.
He was there to find love.
Exactly. And speaking of Detective Ralph, did you catch the little Easter egg right there at the end of the last episode where Ralph's in his office opening up that folder?
Yeah, I did. That's
I'm very happy for Ralph.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's going to be so good.
Now, for those of you who didn't catch the Easter egg, the name on the folder is Dearborn, and you have to do a little bit of Googling on that, but Dearborn is the maiden name of the woman who later becomes Sue Dibney, his wife, and Ralph and Sue were probably one of the most loved characters in all of Justice League history as far as married couples went. Probably running a close second or third to Barry and Iris and the Adam and Jeanne Loring.
Yeah. Of course I will caution because once this crisis storyline is over, there could be another crisis, and that might spell disaster for the Dibneys.
Well, you know, you can have infinite crises as long as you can keep the show running.
That is true.
You won't know it's the last season until it's the final crisis.
Right. And with all the Supermen showing up and even Kevin Conroy being a future Batman, you could have an identity crisis.
You absolutely. Oh, you know what? That would be such a great Netflix show. And really, if I wanted to see Crisis done up, it would have to be 12 one-hour episodes. Just go all in on the thing, for crying out loud. Don't try to condense something that big down to something so tiny.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Kevin Conroy is coming in as an older Batman or a future Batman. We don't know quite which one. And we're also getting Burt Ward.
Yeah.
That played Robin in the 60s.
I don't think that they've said who he's going to play yet.
They haven't said. I would absolutely love it if he's just playing Robin, retired from having fought crime in the 60s. and being pulled back in simply because the Monitor is going to destroy his world.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool.
And I think, I think they could get Julie Newmar in there, but they haven't announced the casting. And I'm sure that first of all, if they got her, they would definitely have announced it by now. And second of all, if they'd announced it, the cat would be out of the bag, so to speak. Who she and Burt Ward would be playing. I didn't even try for that one. It just came out. And then, of course, this particular crisis crossover is going to do exactly what they said they were not going to do, which was include Black Lightning. So we're going to get those characters showing up. I don't think it's showing up in his series. I think he's showing up in the crossover, however.
Yeah, I think Black Lightning could use a boost from showing up in these in this crossover. I don't follow his show closely, but I know that there's not nearly the amount of buzz around his show as there are the main universe shows.
Yeah, so
he could benefit from being in these shows.
Well, do you think that at the end of Crisis we get a unified world?
Yes. I mean, granted, Flash has pretty much got it to a point now where you can just jump universes by remote control. But I think that it would benefit them all to just merge into the universe. I hate the stupid argument of, why doesn't Arrow just call Supergirl? I mean, she's right down the road. She could be there in no time. she's got her own problems to deal with, and that's not the way Arrow would deal with things. So you can have them all in the same universe. I mean, Flash isn't going to see trouble and immediately call Supergirl. No, he's going to call his friggin' wife, Iris, and ask her for help.
Yeah, there has been at least one episode, maybe two, of Arrow where he was set up in a hard spot, and all of a sudden you just hear the rapid violins and a whoosh, and the wind blows, and the bad guys are chained up, and he's like, "What'd you do?" "I put in a call to Central City." So they've used him as a Deus Ex Machina before, but yeah, overuse would definitely. It's the same thing in the comics. I mean, the Joker's out of Arkham. What are you going to do, Batman? And call Superman and sit home and kick my heels up.
Well, right, yeah. So that kind of logic just does not make sense, and I don't know why people use it for movies and TV shows.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. But I definitely do think you're right that they're going to have a unified Earth. That the Supergirl is going to exist with the Flash and the Arrow. Well, maybe not the Arrow, but definitely Batwoman and hopefully Black Lightning. I think that would with Arrow going away, Black Lightning and Batwoman coming out at the same time would be nothing but a good thing for the show. And of course, I've heard nothing at all about where the Legends are going to fall into all of this. So
they've
reached their nadir.
Yeah, they're the luckiest show. I don't even understand how they're still on the air and how people are still watching them. But I mean, hey, it's working for them. So
they're not afraid of making fun of themselves. That's the thing.
No.
And that's what they're living on. And let's just take one more look at this and say, please, that would be great. But we'll move on from there because we've still got more Bulletproof to talk about. And now let's move on to the main character here, Cody Haywood. What can you tell us about Cody other than the fact that he's bulletproof?
2 words: adorable idiot. He struggles. So I mean, it's a real problem. He struggles with ADHD, but he doesn't know it. His background and the way he was raised, it's not something that he's going to go get diagnosed for. He's never needed to go to the doctor. He's always been healthy. So he's also extremely aloof. He gets lost in his own thoughts. He will follow a trail of Reese's Pieces, and if you threw a Skittle in there to throw him off scent, he wouldn't care. He'd just pick it up and say, "Oh, a fruity Reese's Pieces. This is great," and he'd just keep going.
Now, what's his? Of course, I know the answer to these questions, so it makes them harder to ask. What is his reason for becoming a hero?
He lives in a fantasy world. He loves superheroes, video games, comic books. He wants to do the right thing. His heart's in the right place, even if his mind isn't. And he kind of gets caught up in everything. It's that following the trail of Reese's Pieces. He's letting life guide him rather than taking control of his own life. And he often finds himself into some pretty bad situations, but he's trying to make the most of it with this ability that he's discovered he has.
Yeah, and he does live in a world with superheroes. So when people see him in a costume, they're not completely freaked out by his existence or his abilities. But we don't see any of those other heroes. We just know that they exist.
Yeah. The big city in the story is a fictional city called Port Haven. And while they aren't accustomed to seeing superheroes are in the news. They're talked about. So when one shows up, the people of Port Haven are kind of like, "Oh, neat. Who's this guy flying around? What's he doing? We got our own superhero now."
And you keep Cody very street level as far as how he gets around and what his abilities are, because he's bulletproof, but he's not Superman. He's not picking up cars.
Yes,
he just doesn't get crushed by them, I guess, because he's bulletproof. He's invulnerable. But he's got to breathe. So, it's sort of like Unbreakable in that sense. He's got some weaknesses.
Yeah, he does. He does have weaknesses, and they're scattered throughout the book. When you're reading, you will see, okay, yeah, that was earlier in the book. Oh, I see how that was building. You'll see it, and unfortunately for Cody, one of his weaknesses is his mind. He will often leap before he looks, and in some places, quite literally.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean because, of course, I have, surprise, privy access to the script. And speaking of that manuscript, it's going to be more than a manuscript here real soon. It's going to be a hardcover book release. And do you want to let people know when that's going to happen?
Well, there's no better time for a costume hero to take to the streets than Halloween, when everybody's in costumes.
October 31st.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. So excited.
You'll be able to get in advance orders on that when it's listed on Amazon, which will be, I'd say, at least a week before then. I'll have to double check. And I'm not sure what the best timing would be on that, but we are definitely going to have a Halloween release on it. So everyone be ready to get your advance orders in. And as I said, this is going to be a hardcover book with a dust jacket, very nice dust jacket with the art of Matt Flint dressing it up. We're very excited to see that happen. And then about 6 months, maybe even a year after that, we'll be able to get it in paperback and then digital. But it'll be a very nice looking hardcover first.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get this story out to everybody. It's action packed. It's full of comedy. There's some gravitas to it, but I don't weight it down so much that it drags on the story. There's so much of me in this book, and I can't wait to get it out there. And I'm really excited to find out what people think of it.
Well, the viral marketing is hitting the ground already. We've seen the stickers seen in the wild with the Bulletproof Shield logo.
Yep.
And I understand that buttons may be coming out here very soon.
I've already got people asking me for the buttons. There's a lot of people that are allowed to wear buttons that, express their personality on their work uniforms. They call it flair. And I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, can I get a button for my hat for work? And I'm like, of course you can. If you want a button, I'll get you a button.
Because you can't have enough flair. You can't just have the precise amount of pieces. You got to have more flair.
Absolutely.
You've seen the film too. So, all right. Well, this has been fun, and it's been an experiment as well. Everybody who came in early knows we were experimenting with this new StreamYards tool to replace our live streaming ability. YouTube having decided that it was kind enough to us enough already to let us use Google Hangouts, so it was going to take that away. This seems to work okay for us, and we were able to not only have people join in quickly and without any audio visual errors, but we've been able to share some images as well. So definitely we're going to start doing a lot more of these live streams here in the future now that we've got our technology back. Steve, we hope you'll be able to join us on some of these and we can start talking geek outs again. Definitely we should, I think, get back together in December and January and maybe do some after show analysis of these crisis episodes, do some post season or post game color commentary.
Yeah, let's run with this. This is a great format and I'm really enjoying it. And we should definitely do this on a more regular basis if we can. I think we'll bring a lot to the streaming world.
Well, we do one podcast a month with Cosmic Comics in Bell, Illinois, where we just kind of talk about geeks. Maybe we can invite you one of those, but we should do something definitely like on a more regular basis than once a month. Just bring the news out of what's happening in comics and what we're excited about. And of course, every time we do that, up until the date and even after, we're going to talk about Bulletproof and its progress. So until that point, thank you for coming on with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And thank you, everybody who tuned in. If you like this kind of content, you want to help support the channel, please do hit the subscribe button and ring that little bell over there under Steve. It's on his side of the screen, so that you'll be notified of new content. And watch for us to broadcast again. It will be soon. Thanks, Steve.
Absolutely. Anytime.